Okay, hey guys. So I'm gonna just read a little something and then, talk to you guys because this is what I felt called to do. So I'm gonna be reading 2 Samuel chapter 7 and just like little pieces of it that I highlighted. So the first piece I want to read is, I took you from the pastures, from tending the flock, and appointing you ruler over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you've gone, and I have cut off all your enemies from before you. Now I will make your name great, like the names of the greatest men on earth. And I will provide a place for my people Israel, and will plant them so they can have a home of their own and no longer be disturbed. And then it says, who am I, sovereign Lord? And what is my family? And what is my family that you have brought me this far? And yes, it's going to be different pieces and they're not going to go together, but I'm going to explain why I read each one. Then the last is just a prayer to God. Sovereign Lord, you are God. Your covenant is trustworthy, and you have promised these good things to your servant. Now be pleased to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever in your sight. For you, sovereign Lord, has spoken, and with your blessings the house of your servants will be blessed forever. So I did read the whole chapter though, guys, and I just picked out what I felt like, resonated with me, basically. So God has taken me from being angry, mistreated, abused, not loving myself, to now giving me the courage to speak my truth. And a part of that is also loving myself and setting boundaries and, just teaching myself how to be at peace. And during this journey of healing, God had to remove people from my life for me to progress. So when I was in the beginning of this journey, like I told y'all, I lost everything. So, which I feel like I had to lose everything in order to get to this place of feeling rich of just within myself, not necessarily of materialistic things as what I thought before. To feel rich is to have these things, and to have materialistic things like a house and a car and a this and a that, the things that I felt like I needed. Sorry, I thought I had something in my I did. Sorry, I just got done eating. Shit, I don't care. But yeah, so I feel like so I had to feel rich within myself, like just loving myself, loving my experience of life, and things like that. And God had to remove some people as well out of my life and put me into isolation, meaning not like isolate me in a negative way, but isolate me so I can grow and I can become exactly who I want to be, who I am within, So I feel like certain people had to leave my life, and even people that I necessarily didn't really have a issue or a problem with, I just had to take a step back and see my life in a different perspective than what I'm normally, seeing or doing or interfering with, like as far as the places I'm going with people, the things I'm doing with people, or the things that I was just doing with myself, like smoking and drinking. I don't smoke, I don't drink anymore. I try not to go down that path because it's not that I was a drunk or a pothead, but I abused drinking and smoking a lot. I was using it to basically cope with my life and cope with things that I had going on instead of like trying to face it and, you know, sit in those feelings that I was having and, you know, move through them, which honestly, a part of my life journey, I always suppressed my feelings and I always just tried to like keep going and not really like face what I was truly feeling or even comes to grip with with those feelings. And I just would just try to, you know, suppress it and act like, you know, I'm good. I don't need I'm good, like, you know, smoke and drink my life away and not even realize that, you know, I needed to take a step back and, you know, think about how I'm actually feeling and, you know, and also just sitting in it. Like, I never really like to sit in my feelings because I feel like then I become a little depressed and I don't really like feeling like that. I like to be like upbeat no matter what I got going on. But I had to learn how to do that without, you know, smoking or having a drink. And yeah, so during this journey, I realized that, you know, also that my name will be spoken, but not with drama and chaos. Although some people may do that, but it will be spoken in a way of like positivity and, you know, with truth. As far as for myself, I'm going to speak, you know, my name and I'm going to establish that truth in my life. And I noticed that in my journey of life in general, people have often spoke ill will of me, and I used to take it so personal, which sometimes I still might take it personal. Don't think that, you know, but I don't let it like bother me basically. Like, I never really did, but now it's on a whole different level. Like, I'm going to stand 10 toes for myself, but I'm not letting it like bother me. But I noticed that people often, you know, tried to paint me out to be the bad guy and tried to like say I was this type of person that I truly am not. Like, and people, you know, spread lies about me and, you know, it just made me, you know, be very defensive towards people, which I already was, but it's like that made me be even more defensive towards people and just allowing people in my space because it's like you guys always painted this picture of me of being like this angry, mean black girl when really it's like that's not even who I am. And if you really know me, that's not who I am. And but yeah, like one thing about me is nobody's going to disturb my peace because it's like for me, I worked very hard to even get here. So I feel like I'm just going to set my boundaries and, you know, people need to respect that, you know, because boundaries for me now are important because I never used to have boundaries with people or just boundaries in general. So people used to cross that line and sometimes I react or sometimes I won't even say nothing. And then I realized that from me saying nothing has caused people to continue with this narrative and continue with the overstepping their boundaries. So now it's just like, no, like I'm not even giving it my energy nor my peace because I worked hard for this. This is mine. This is my energy. This is my peace. You cannot come in here and just try to disturb it. It's not happening. And yeah, and then, you know, the other verse in there was, you know, who am I, sovereign Lord, and what is my family? So that brought me to realizing that another part of me, just as far as growing up, like I've always felt like, you know, connected and, you know, a special being. But I often felt like where do I come from? Like, not meaning like, where do I come from? Because I know who my mother is and I know who my father is. But as far as my lineage or my roots, like, what is that? You know, like, where do I, like, come from? Who is my family? And honestly, it's like, I don't really have the best of connection with either side of my family, my mom's or my dad. Like, I do have a connection with more so of my mom's side of my family because, you know, those are the people that I grew up with. But I also went to boarding school where then it's like I lost touch and connection with family in general. And yeah, like, I feel like that's something that I question and something that, you know, I would like to know as far as, you know, being connected with, you know, that ancestral line. And it leads me to like question of who I am, basically. And like, God, like, what is it that, like, why did you pick me? I know I'm supposed to be a generational curse breaker as far as my ancestral line, but it's like, why me? You know, like, it makes you question, like, you know, like, going deeper within yourself to figure out what it is that makes you so special. Which we all are special. I'm not saying that I'm just so special, but just pertaining to myself. Sorry. And then another thing I wanted to talk about was my temple, which is my body. And lately I've been, you know, watching what I consume because, you know, to feel connected with God, you have to, you know, consume things that's from source, like, meaning the earth, like Mother Nature, like fruits, vegetables, and things like that to stay grounded and stay connected. There's other ways to, you know, ground yourself, connect yourself, but that's just a choice that I make because, you know, I call my temple the Lord is peace because God has brought me peace in my life and helped me find that inner being, which, you know, helped me create this peace and this, you know, this ability to love on myself as I've never really truly done because of, you know, things that have gone on in my life. So when I think of like my progress and where I am now during my journey, I look back and I realize that I've honestly come very far along this journey. And to come this far in my journey where it's like I'm not getting like help from people and I'm not getting, you know, now I do watch, you know, like YouTube, TikTok, but you know, you can't take in every piece of information from different people because you never know people's true intentions. So I kind of like take what I can, but, or, you know, if I get like synchronicities and things like that, that I feel like is my ancestors or my spirit guides or, you know, God communicating with me in a way, then I'm taking it, like, and I'm going to have it resonate with what, you know, they need me to see. But I feel like to come this far in my journey and no one in my family even have went this route as far as going back to my ancestral roots and trying to find that spirituality and even my gifts, you know, and I'm learning a little bit about that as well. It's like, that to me is an accomplishment. And when I think about it, I am so very proud of myself because I I've always been determined to learn. I've always been determined to know new things. But this is on a whole different level for me. It's like I'm proud of who I'm becoming, and I'm proud of the steps I take and the determination I have towards finding myself. Because this has never been a thing where I've like really truly found myself or have tried to find myself where, I'm setting my boundaries and I'm, standing on it and I'm expressing myself and telling people exactly how I feel, and even just taking time to myself and expressing that I want that time to myself and I need that time to myself and I deserve that time to myself. Like, I never truly had that empowerment within myself that I do now. And this spiritual journey has helped me, get there. And even being comfortable, expressing myself and telling people my business and, things like that as far as that nature. I've never been comfortable with that because I don't want people to really see me. And I'm fine with just being, little old me. But, I feel like God is telling me that it's time for me to step up out of this shell that I always, or this barrier that I always had to protect myself from people. It's like, it's time for me to step out of that because, I deserve to show people this light and this love that I have. So I'm very proud of myself on where I am in this journey. Some days I do be like, I wish I could be a little bit further, or I wish I can take it a step up. But it's like a part of this journey is just taking your time and, realizing that you've made it this far, I've made it this far. And that's something that, you can be very proud of, and you can be like, this is an accomplishment. And that's how I personally feel. Like, I accomplished something great. And, I try to, I'm not really good with like the meditating part. I want to get better because, meditating is very, very helpful when you're on your spiritual journey. But I feel like I get so consumed with like knowledge and information. But like I told you guys, I just like to learn. So I get so consumed with that I enjoy the learning process of it, that I don't really take the time to meditate as much as I could possibly meditate. And spend that alone time with myself. Now, my alone time I do spend is like reading my Bible and allowing myself to create thoughts and express myself in a way of like how I view things or how I see it, because it's like we're all different. We're all going to view things a different way, see things a different way. That's just a part of who we are as people. So yeah, and I feel like I've always limited myself to just this small minimalized of a person when I'm more than that. So I'm just truly grateful for this process. I hope that this message finds people that needs to hear it, or, is on their spiritual journey as well, because, we all need each other during times like this, and times where you're going through something and not many people are. So you start to feel a little lonely. And yeah, I've been a little lonely because I feel like I don't really have much people to, communicate with and talk to about these things. So yeah, I just want this message to get to someone, and hope it helps someone along their journey, or just help someone overall. So I hope you guys have a good night, because it's night for me. And yeah, love you guys. Have a good day.